What's up? What's up? I am just B. Just B. That's it. Okay. Just call me B. All right, y'all. Today we are going to be starting this is a 10-part story time. Okay. So y'all I hope that this brings the light and the love and sends so much goodness and happiness to you guys, comfort, right? um this is all about my journey, okay, in dealing with nonprofit organizations. So let me tell y'all a little bit about your girl. Oh yeah, and my baby's birthday is coming up, so I'm working on her jacket, y'all. So this is what I'm gonna be doing in between the time while I am spending with you guys, right? So, anywho, so let me tell y'all a little bit about me. But I'm gonna try to keep it brief because this is not necessarily about me, right? Um, okay, so I grew up in over 31 different homes. Okay. Yes, I had a mother and a man who is on my birth certificate, who I believe that was my father, who I was told was my father. However, he was very absent emotionally, financially. Um, we might all been there. Some of us have. So y'all feel me what I'm saying. And my mother was a drug addict. She also went through a lot of mental issues such as bipolar, depression, those sorts of things, right? So trigger warning, mental illness. I don't know if I spoke on that, but that is going to be like one of the main things that I discussed here. So yes, mental illness, if you cannot really deal with talking or listening about mental illness, then you might not want to watch this either. So anywho, because of this, I was an orphan. You know, I call myself Little Annie. um but I was an orphan, and I witnessed and experienced a lot of abuse. Okay. um Sexual abuse. So I have been through molestation, rape, homelessness, all of these childhood trauma type of situations. Um, there's really nothing that I haven't been through that they've made a lifetime movie about, right? So, um, once my mother died in 2016, um, I had started to like really wanted to find myself. I always knew that I wasn't a part of the family whose name that I carry, right? I always knew that. There was some different situations that happened during my upbringing that definitely pointed to the fact that I wasn't his real child or his biological child, shall I say? Because there are some good parents that are, well, I don't like to call them step parents. I like to call them second parents, or extra parent. But there are some people who take their extra parent responsibilities very seriously, and they do what they supposed to do, right? But I always kind of had a feeling, just because everybody else around me, so like all my cousins and everybody else, they grew up way different than me. Like, um, they experiences in life was different. They were more protected. Um, they had stability. It was just a lot of different things. So of course, you like, I mean, I know y'all might not like me or whatever, because you grow up with all these different situations that you're going through. It can kind of make it like your attitude can kind of be a little tainted. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all. Growing up, I was like on some, I love people. I always had a good heart, but it was more so like, I know if you don't fuck with me for real, I can feel it because I was around so many different people. So it's like sometimes I did kind of come across like, no, I don't really want to be bothered. You feel what I'm saying? Because you've already shown me that you don't really fuck with me. So, anywho, y'all, I always kind of knew that I didn't belong to them. So once my mother died, I just really wanted to take an initiative to just kind of find out who I was. I was really afraid of becoming um like her, right? She lost her mother the same age I was is when my mother had lost her mother. So, and then from all I know, what all I've been told was that my grandmother passing was the reason that she just was not able to ever get it back together. You know what I'm saying? That was always the excuse that everybody gave her, and that was the excuse that she gave me. So I kind of just felt like, dang, this is kind of like a bad omen. You know what I'm saying? Like this is some type of curse, and I need to break this. I am a mother myself of four. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm not wanting to ever have my children experience the life that I had to experience growing up. You know what I'm saying? So I reached out. Of course, nobody had any answers. The same thing, same scenario. Nobody wants to help do anything when it comes to me. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, all right, cool. Well, I basically was in a situation where I was trying to help my grandmother. She was getting up in age, and she just was had expressed to me over so long how lonely and stuff that she felt, and just all of those different kind of things, and I just wanted to be there for her. Well, in the midst of me trying to step up a little bit more to be there for my grandmother, my aunt, which is um my my the man who I thought was my biological father. So I'll say my adoptive family. That's how I'm going to address them. So we had always kind of had a very toxic relationship. She is one of those types of people who it is her way or hell. You know what I'm saying? She's gonna put you through hell. She's the friend that's going to stalk you if you don't want to be friends with her no more. She's the one who, if you do anything to her that she feels like she doesn't like, she's going to do everything she can to try to destroy your life. Okay, that's that's the person that she's always been in our family. So um I had tried to reconcile with her, especially after my mother passed, y'all, because you know how people come to you when somebody died and they like, yeah, we want to be there for you and this and this and that. And, they she kind of made it seem like she couldn't really be there for me because, her and my mom's relationship, just like, I wouldn't really let her in. That's kind of the way she made it seem. So, me really wanting that maternal figure in my life, um and her being connected to my adoptive father, who I always wanted to please, y'all. Like I always wanted this man to see me in the light of who I really was, and to understand how much I loved him. I was always there for him when he got sick, when he needed anything. As far as just a daughter, I was always a good daughter. So not having his acceptance, and then gaining her acceptance, really, I really was looking forward to that, right? I had watched her treat other people really good, like my cousins and stuff. And I wanted to be able to have that relationship with her as well. Okay? So, real quick, God says, you know what I'm saying, about stuff like that. He is the light of our life. We don't need anyone. He is going to send everyone that we need along our journey. That's why some people are here for a season, and some people are just here for a reason, and some people are just here for a lifetime. But either way it goes, it is a journey, right? And he's going to send the people that you need along in your journey. So that's really where I had kind of messed up, anyways. But back then, I was very religious. So we are talking about 4 years ago, y'all. Okay. I was very religious, and what I have learned about religion is when you are focusing so much on the practices and the give and take of um you and God, right? Then you not really able to get the relationship to understand what he's trying to teach you along your journey. You feel what I'm saying? So that's basically what I wasn't realizing in the moment, right? So we had this knockdown, drag out fight in front of my grandmother, who I respected so very much, and loved so very much. You feel what I'm saying? Um, so I was just in deep prayer, y'all, and I was telling God, I'm like, God, I'm so tired of this. Like I'm tired of my life like this. I'm tired of always feeling like I'm the one that's always sacrificing everything. But when it comes to me and my happiness and and what I need, no one's around. They pretend like they're around, but then they secretly are sabotaging me, Lord. Like, I didn't understand, y'all. I didn't get it. And I was like really praying that God just kind of like came and just rescued me. You know what I mean? At that point in my life, I wasn't suicidal. I was, though, very just determined to get out of this hell that I was in. And I felt like the only way that I could do that was through talking to God in prayer. So, y'all, one thing I will share to y'all about my prayer life is it's like real authentic. Okay. I am like Peter, Paul in the Bible. I cuss. I'm who I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little hood because of the way that I was raised. But at the end of the day, my heart is always been where it should be. Okay, the way that I view people in love and the equality that I know that God has gifted all of us with, even though sometimes it doesn't reflect in a worldly form, it's there spiritually, right? So God tells me 7 days. I mean, no. Sorry, y'all. God tells me, move. So I'm like, move where? Okay. Now this happened over, I think, like a month. I say like a month. I started like really getting in deep prayer and really meditating. Um, so then it says, go to Florida. And I say it because God is not a man, nor is God a woman. It is everything. So it is the ish, the shit. You feel me? Um, so then it says 7 days. So I'm like, God, if you can move me within 7 days, I'll go. Cause it wasn't no way. I had just had to get stuff for school. My car had just broke down. I let them come back and pick it up, which means I wasn't able to work at that moment. Like, I'm like, yeah. So if you can get me to Florida within 7 days, then I'm definitely going. Everything worked out. Everything worked out for me to pack my kids up, leave our things. We all took a suitcase and a bag a piece. So whatever you could fit, your most important items was what you got to take. And that was for all of us. We got on the mega bus and we went to Florida. I didn't know where I was going to stay. I knew I didn't have the support from my family because they was trying to convince me not to go. They even tried to make it seem like I was going crazy, right? And it was crazy that they was saying that I was going crazy because they raised me to be a Christian, a believer in Christ, which means that with all things with God, all things are possible. You feel what I'm saying? So if with God, okay, y'all, we working with one lash because I'm not. I'm gonna tell y'all. And you know what? I said that. I said I don't know why I'm about to put on these lashes. I was trying to look cute for y'all, okay? But we gonna keep this one on because this one's cute still. But anywho, um, I'm thinking like, we raised in church as a Christian, as a Baptist, that with God all things are possible, and that we speak to Him through prayer and we get prophetic messages. So I'm just like, why would y'all be so thinking I'm crazy? It's one thing for y'all to be concerned. It's one thing for y'all to say, listen, have we done something that has made you feel this way? So we can work on it. It's one thing for them to do that, but them to just make it seem like I was crazy, no. So me and my kids go to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and we end up meeting a lady at the bus station that ended up being a part of a organization that was in touch with a motorcycle club that to me was still a nonprofit, right? And I say that they're a nonprofit because they heard our story, me and my children, and they paid for us to stay in a hotel until we was able to get placement with a shelter. Okay. So, and I wish that I still had all the info. I wish I had the information, but I don't. Right. So, we land in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and we are at this hotel. We are trying. I am trying to, and I say we because it was the same young lady that I met at the bus station. Um, we were basically trying to figure out it wasn't any placements. Okay. Y'all, it wasn't no placements. It wasn't no openings. And like all the shelters really are full, really in Florida and everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Because homelessness is such high capacity right now. It's just crazy. It saddens me and it breaks my heart. And that's another reason why I am also sharing my story with you guys, because I want y'all to understand, to have no shame. To have no shame in your situation and what you've been through and what you're trying to overcome. It is so many people that is out here that is not having the ability to overcome. It's so many people, y'all, and I'm telling y'all because I know, okay? I know for a fact. I've lived this. There are so many people who have been so overwhelmed with obstacles and lack of opportunity that they fold, and and when I say fold, I don't mean fold like they folded, like they fell, like how they said in cool rap music. I don't mean fold like that. When I say fold, I mean like fetal position. They're in fetal position because they need to be cradled, they need to be nurtured back, and they don't know and understand that all you need is God. They, like me, they was waiting on a person, they was waiting on people to send, they was waiting on people to do something, and when them people let them down, they felt like, we feel like God let us down, and God ain't got nothing to do with the free will that we possess. Believing is a choice. It's a decision. Just like reaping and sowing. What you put into the ground is what you are going to get. You can't plant tomatoes and get roses, even though both of them have kind of like a thorn aspect growth to them. So I get to Salvation Army of Fort Lauderdale, and from the very beginning, I kind of felt real misunderstood. I felt kind of judged, but I also kind of summed that up to be my own feelings, right? And I'm saying that because we have to start listening to our intuition about stuff. It will save us from a lot of heartbreak if we listen, and especially when you praying, you have to listen to those things and those warnings in your feelings in your body when you are praying to God, because that's how he uses you. It's a spirit. He sends his spirit inside of you to see danger, to see bullshit, to see lies, to see failure. He sends it. But we all gotta live, right? So okay, y'all. So I'm going through the program. I'm not getting the support and the help that I need from this program. I am being bullied, and I'm saying bullied because not because like because listen, y'all, I'm prone to violence. I just told y'all, me and my aunt had a my daddy's sister, his only sister, his baby sister, had so many knockdown, drag out fights. I grew up fighting. I'm a project church baby, hood baby. You know what I'm saying? Like that's that's my life. So it's not that I was scared, more so that I understood that I didn't have family in Florida. I couldn't get put out of there. So I was enduring a lot and I was taking a lot. But I was also letting them know, like, hey, like, are y'all not seeing this? Because they was on me. It was like every little thing that I did, they seen it. I'm talking about any little stuff that they didn't even tell me I couldn't do. You know what I'm saying? They was able to see it and call me on it or try to write me up about it, or you know what I'm saying? I was always having to defend myself while I was there. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up finally being able to get a job at a wireless store, right? And and it was only part time because the daycare that I had for my youngest daughter, and then my middle child wasn't able to go to daycare. So they wouldn't approve it, which I later found out that was some bullshit. They was both supposed to get daycare, but we ain't even gonna go there, right? Um, but that is a part of the problem in Salvation organ. What I seen in Salvation Army's organization, for them to be such a large, they are a nonprofit corporation in my eyes. They are all over the world. So for you all to have so many um resources, and for you all to have so many donations and volunteers, you would know and think that they would be able to be a little more on top of when it comes to business and helping these families get rebuilt and not just staying there holding residency. Children don't need to be in shelters. That is not a normal way of providing stability. That is an emergency situation. You understand? So when what I seen when I'm there is when y'all trying to basically pacify people or hold them from growing for whatever reason, whether it's funding or donations or whatever reason that it is, you are only causing more damage to the same people and families and children that you are professing to help. My experience there was terrible. I felt targeted. It was like women was allowed to just come at me, and then there was no reprimanding them. There was no, it was just like, it's okay for you to do this to her. I summed it up to the fact that maybe, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's because I'm not from there. So I'm a little different. You know, y'all, I am a little more, you know, hardcore, I guess, as a woman. I'm a little more maybe straightforward. I ain't really with no funny shit. I pick up on the little, you know, the little hee hee ha ha's. You know. And I call shit for what it is. And I respect you for not liking me, but I expect you to stay away from me. And I don't expect you to attack me because you have a issue with me. As a grown adult, if I have an issue with somebody that I cannot reconcile or do not wish to reconcile, I'm going to stay away from them. Period. Period. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up getting a job. A month into the job, I ended up having to quit because I wasn't able to become a full-time employee. Well, when you first get a job through the Salvation Army program that I was in, the shelter program that I was in Fort Lauderdale, you have to pay rent. And it's a percentage of your check that you are supposed to get back when you leave out of the program. Now, I didn't have a problem with that, even though I had heard a lot of horror stories about people not getting their money back on time, or they don't want to, people need to get their money back so that before they leave, so that they can pay for deposits and things like that, but they don't want to give you your money back until you actually are gone. So, but I especially on that new journey, I didn't want to compare my situation to nobody else's. I was trusting that God was going to do everything in divine order, right? So that wouldn't necessarily be my story because it was their story. So I didn't mind paying. I actually let them know as soon as I got a job. And then when I got my first check, I said, how much percentage do I have to pay? And my caseworker, Miss Peggy, she says none. You don't have to pay no percentage right now. You just got a job. We give y'all 30 days, and then we let you know how much you got to pay going forward. So after this month is up and I'm telling them that I'm no longer working, because I was so upset, and I'm really asking her ways that she could help me and things that I could do to be able to get in a better position, because I'm just like, man, like, I'm not trying to be here, y'all. I was praying for edge control. Like, shit was so messed up for me. My family was not helping me financially. It was just like the fact that I left to work on myself. I'm getting counseling. My children is getting counseling. It was like the fact that I left to work on myself made them so angry that they decided to turn their back on me. Some of them I didn't talk to from August of 2019 all the way up until around Christmas. It was very hard on me. So I'm looking at this case manager. I'm looking at Miss Peggy, and I'm like, I had to leave the job. Like, when is this ever going? This is never going to get better. And she's just like, you can't worry about it. You have up to 2 years to be here. So, just take your time. It was just like everything was about take your time. And I understand, but I'm like, look, it ain't okay for I went through this growing up. It's just not okay for my kids. Y'all, not even a whole week later, I get a note in my mailbox telling me that I gotta pay like $200 and something dollars. So I'm like, I asked for a meeting, and I'm like, why would I have to pay this when I just talked to y'all and you know that I'm not working? Well, here at the Salvation Army program, we're trying to teach responsibility. That's going to be the way, you have to save your money and this and this and that. So I'm like, y'all, I'm sitting here in tears because I'm like, this lady knows that we barely had clothes. A hurricane hit at the weirdest time, like when I got there. So like, the clothes that my kids needed, I didn't have. I had to shop at the donation centers with y'all. I'm not ashamed. You feel me? We was fly from the donation center, okay? Because I have learned from growing up in lack and not having enough, okay? And poverty, that you work with what you got. I make some shit out of some shit. You heard what I'm telling you? But at the same time, as a woman, knowing that I have been providing for my children, whether I'm working 2, 3 jobs, doing whatever I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? To make sure that my kids have things that they need. And now I'm in a position, all because I choose to follow God. This is how I'm feeling, that we don't have enough. No, I need to be working on this. This is not okay. This is not okay. All right. So, um, I'm sitting here, y'all. I'm so heartbroken because I'm just like, ma'am, I already done told you. I already done told you, and you telling me that I'm gonna get put out if I can't give y'all this money by this due date, which was like a week. It was like 7 days. Let me speak to your manager. Now, the manager was already acquainted with me, the director, okay? She was already acquainted with me, because I had been going through all that stuff that I had been going through while I was there. So anytime Miss Peggy had, well, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. I believe her name was Miss Renee. I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. And I'm feeling like it ain't right, or I'm supposed to be getting rolled up and it ain't right, or it was a verbal altercation, but I was the one who was being attacked. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was always requesting to speak to her, so she knew who I was, and she was not very friendly or nice to me either. So, but I still was having faith because I'm like, I specifically talked to Miss Peggy, and this is what she told me. So that should mean something. Yeah, I got in that meeting, and they wasn't having it. It was pay this money or else. You gotta go. So I start getting my stuff ready to go because I wasn't asking the same family who had turned their back on me. And then my brother and sister, they always act like they ain't have it. You know what I'm saying? They always act like they ain't have it. And they both, my brother's a college graduate. Not saying that just because you're a college graduate, that means you got it, but he's been working steadily. You know what I'm saying? He's been good. He could have offered some support. As much as he runs back and forth to Louisville from Ohio, he could have definitely offered some support, but he didn't. So I couldn't depend on him. I wasn't mad, but I knew that it wasn't no coming up with that money. You feel what I'm saying? So they put me out, y'all. But God worked it out. God worked it out. We end up having to go stay at a hotel. Okay? We end up having to go stay at a hotel for like a week. But we ended up getting our own house in Fort Lauderdale. God is good. And I'm glad that I didn't turn back then. But that's only the beginning of the bullshit. This was the introduction. Y'all stay tuned for part 1. Love y'all.